We are back, folks. You have tuned into another Woomoo transmission. Now, for today's second episode, we are going to be covering how institutions institutionalize thought. Now, I'd argue that religion falls into this too, but we've covered that ad nauseum on the channel. So today we're going to be focusing more on the education aspect of how this kind of programming works. Prior to that, how one aspect of how these institutions institutionalize thought is censorship. Now, on a few of the previous videos I've done, the ones that I actually consider probably my best ones and that have gotten off to the best views and likes and whatever to begin with, these have all been met with a shadow ban. Okay? One of them, so the irony in this is beautiful. Is it beautiful? I don't know. Ugly? Maybe. The debunking dogmatic religion. Right? So this is sharing ideas on how ancient scriptures and mythology are actually detailing through allegory the precession of equinoxes, the stars, cosmology, right? And this gets banned as labeled as shocking content. So you know it's good, but it's hardly shocking, right? It's just commonsensical. So how do institutions institutionalize thought? Censorship is one of them, okay? Now, and it's ironic that, you can speak about some dude getting tortured, and that's not shocking. It's like, come on, bro. Anyway, something I do want to note on this, for any other aspiring artists or creators, or anyone just beginning a career and doing what they love, if you are facing resistance, such as censorship, that's, probably one of the best indicators of it. If you are facing resistance in what you're doing, whether it be from the general consensus, how people think, or just some bullshit, which I'm dealing with on the constant, take this in mind. Bear this in mind. If you're facing resistance, if you are facing wind in your face, you're moving forwards, okay? None of the greatest thinkers in our history ever had an easy ride. You have to ask, why was the ride easy if people do get that? What are they achieving, right? So if you are sharing, and it isn't to say it's all right, or you don't have to believe any of it, I don't care. But if you are facing resistance in what you do, at least that is a good indicator that you are moving forward, you are growing, okay? If you're not facing any resistance, if you got wind at your back, ask yourself, okay, should it be so easy, all right? Food for thought. Now, a very quick recap. Again, I'm trying to side-skirt these algorithms and not just get shadow banned on everything I do. Trying to be very diplomatic about how I put these things, but alas, the powers that be. But I did a extensive video on this. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. Mechanisms of the Matrix, it was called. But understanding law itself is not justice. It is a means of managing human capital, okay? It is an easy way to control a population to achieve agendas by the policymakers. Policy is what law is. That's why we have policy enforcers, okay? So just adding on to this concept, this idea, this line of thinking, let's delve into education, all right? Before I do, really interesting study, which is basically a demonstration of what I'm trying to communicate here. Now, NASA did a study a while ago where they created an aptitude-based test, testing creativity, creative genius, right? And they tested this on 5-year-olds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, I don't know, but a good group. They found that in this specific aptitudinal test, 99% of 5-year-olds scored as a creative genius. Now, 30 years later, they offered this same test to the same kids. Only 1, maybe 2% scored the same. Why? Okay, so if we understand we are all born essentially a creative genius, why do we get programmed out of that? I'll explain. Now, it's interesting. The education, we have 12 years at school, okay? Now, a bit like the 12-step program if you go to narcotics or Alcoholics Anonymous. Why is the 12 important, symbolic? Well, it represents 12 months of the year, a full zodiac, a cycle. So that is a full cycle of programming, without getting too conspiratorial, it serves this benefit. Now, you go to school, at least the one I went to, you wear a uniform, you wear a tie. Now, what happens after this 12-step program, this indoctrination, if you will, is you all go from your own unique little 5-year-old creative genius self into one formation, a uniform, one formation, right? University, I'll touch on it in a second, but in this one formation, if you just condense everyone into a box, okay, this is how life is, this is what you do. You have a 9-to-5 job, you do this, you do that, you wear that, you feel like this because of that. If you get programmed into this idea of what life is about, and you have the whole Western population, and a lot of the East, boxed into this one formation, well, again, adding on to the idea of law being a system to manage human capital, it becomes far easier to deal and control a population all boxed in, all right? If you have all these free radicals thinking all crazy creative stuff, well, that becomes very difficult to manage for the select few who are looking for that level of power and coercion, okay? So it's a bit like this. And again, I've mentioned this example before, but university, right? So if you want to learn physics, you also require philosophy and spirituality around it, but they don't teach that, they teach the one. It is a myopic view, and not only are you being told this, not asked to question it, you are being told. This is the same through the whole education, irrespective of whether it's bullshit or not. We are coming to learn that a lot of the history we've been told is demonstrably false. Like science. Science is only right until it's wrong. Einstein was right until he was wrong, until quantum mechanics became the new accepted scientific paradigm. It's basically there. Still a few material reductionist scientists among us, but that's okay. They'll get there in the end. But you have to understand, these ideas are only right until they're not. But if you're never questioning them, then you're never going to get a different answer. And so that is the power in telling people, you are casting a spell. Literally. It's like, why do you spell words? It's casting a spell. You're implanting these ideas and thoughts into them, which they then accept. And I'll come back to who is telling these things. The tie. And this is funny. This ties in to the uniform, okay? A little brief history on what the tie, where its origin, where it originated from, and what the symbology tied to it is, okay? Now, outside of the bleeding obvious, and bear in mind, if I go to a wedding or something and I chuck on a fly, I'm like, shit, I look pretty good. So you don't have to get too insecure about wearing a tie. They can look smart. But what is the actual origin of it and the symbology? I covered this in TikTok a while ago. But outside of the glaring obvious symbology of a hangman's noose around your neck, you become a corporate slave to the machine with the you get that, right? But the origin of it is even funnier. So originally it was a Freemasonry symbol. And so during certain initiation rituals, practices, they used what was called a cable toe, which was a ring around your neck. And then the ringleader, I suppose, would lead you by the ring around your neck to do God knows what to you to try and dissolve the ego. Some pretty horrific stuff by all accounts. And I understand the means, the methodology behind it, but I think it's been totally corrupted. But that is what the tie is. It's the cable toe leading some poor dude to get something up the backside, or who knows. If you're into that, that's fine too. But that is what the tie is, and that ties into the uniform, the one formation, right? It's pretty funny. Now, authority. Again, I've covered this briefly, but what do we perceive as an authority? Well, it can be your parent, it can be a teacher, it can be the psychiatrist that tells your 13-year-old kid that you need 14 pills of speed to function at school the next day. These authorities are not always right. What is an authority? Well, what is a dictator? I'm dictating to you right now. It's someone who dictates. What is an authority? An authoritarian, an authority. It is an author, okay? So, I've cited this example many a time. What did Mao, Mussolini, Winston Churchill, and, I forgot the other one, and Lenin all have in common? Bear in mind, this is all around the burgeoning Second World War and prior. They were all journalists, they were all authors, and became their own grand narrators, This is the power of words. Power of sound in the universe. Sound creates light. Sound, words cast spells that manifest reality. These guys, this is occult knowledge. These guys are onto this. All right? And there are many useful idiots that fall into the system, of course, but this is how the ventriloquist, the little pointy needle at the top, this is how these people think, is what they know, okay? A nice little quote to finish this on. Da Vinci said, there are three types of people. Those who see when shown, and those who choose not to see. So, I ask my audience, are you seeing what I'm saying? Anyway, leave it there. Woo-moo. Woo-way.